What up, folks? Once again, it is your boy Tim with another ride sharing video. This one is going to be a fun one of sorts. This is an inspirational video. I actually seen another YouTuber, I believe it was the rideshare guy. I will reference it, but I believe it was the rideshare guy, had a host on that has completed 28,000 trips. That's a hell of a lot of trips. Shout out to the individual. And he wanted to give some tips. 28 lessons learned in reference to him completing his 28,000th trip. Now, I wanted to do something similar for shits and giggles. Now, being candid, although I have been a rideshare driver off and on since 2014, I do not even have half of the trips this guy has. I have thousands of trips, but nowhere near 28,000, mainly because my motto in recent years has been to not drive, not engage in ride sharing unless they're offering some form of streaks, promos, surges, or earnings guarantees, which means they're not going to be offering that all day, every day in any market. So I'm not going to be doing a ridiculous amount of trips like that. So yeah, he has 28,000. Shout out to the man. But I want to give you what is, instead of 28 lessons, I don't have 28. I got 19. Now, unlike the gentleman in the video, he is extremely optimistic, very positive, upbeat. I call a spade a spade. When shit is good, I give you good shit. But when things are bad, I'm going to hammer the hell out of Uber and Lyft and let you know. So being candid, coming to you right in the beginning, my video is not going to be all rainbows and shit like that. I'm going to come at you real. Some of the things are positive, but not all of them. So what did I say, 19? Number one, in his video, he suggested to drive and ride sharing, you need to put in the hours. And he talked about starting out putting in 10 hours per day for 5 days a week. And he stated that driving long hours is a way that you get to really learn what's going on in ride sharing. Listen, I believe that you can certainly learn a lot the longer you drive. And oftentimes the shit you learn is this is not worth it. This shit is not worth it to drive 10 hours a day for 5 days a week. I don't have to drive very long, and probably you not either, to realize this shit is not worth getting out here and putting 10 continuous hours in per day, taking a hell of a lot of base fare trips. So, number one, for myself, keep it part-time. Keep it to exactly what the ride-sharing companies refer to it as, and that being a side hustle. Number two, keep a clean car. I do agree with the gentleman. You want to make a decent impression on your customers. I suggest keeping some form of a portable vacuum cleaner you can plug into your auxiliary outlet. We used to call it a cigarette lighter plug or whatever the case may be. That way you're not having to go to gas stations and in car washes to use their vacuum and paying $1 or $2 per pop. When you got something in your vehicle, you can quickly get up small spills. Probably keep a small brush and dustpan as well. That way you can scoop up stuff and get it out your vehicle fairly quick and keep moving. Number three, smell good. I do like to keep a decent smelling vehicle. Last thing you want to do is be driving around with your stanky ass, insulting the customers and passengers, or have passenger B get in your car and they can still smell the ass of passenger A. Don't do that shit. Keep a good smelling car. Whether you got a evergreen hanging from the mirror, and I understand some places that's not even legal to have that hanging from your mirror. Hang it from the keys, hang it from the gear shift or something like that, but keep the car smelling good. Nobody wants to get to their destination sniffing somebody's ass, so don't do that. Number four, do not deadhead. This is a financially good piece of advice. Do not deadhead. What do I mean by deadheading? In the trucking industry, deadheading means driving without a load. In this industry, it means driving with no one in your vehicle. Regardless of what you spend per mile in expenses, for every mile you take, you do spend something. Like I stated before in many of my videos, the IRS gives you a credit of 65.5 cents of expenses per mile. Most drivers can drive for a hell of a lot less than 65 cents per mile. But let's say you're driving for 30 cents per mile. Let's say it costs you 30 cents in expenses for every mile you do. Well, if you drive 3 miles to chase a surge or go use the bathroom, that 3 miles at 30 cents costs you 90 cents. That is 90 cents out of your pocket, which is why I will tell you, do not deadhead, do not chase surges, and avoid long-ass trips. I've said that in many of videos. Do not take trips where you know you're going to be driving a long distance back empty or driving a long distance to pick someone up with nobody in the car. Meaning, do not do a 10 or 15 mile pickup. If a passenger is 10 or 15 miles away, that is a passenger you will not be picking up. Avoid picking up their ass. Because like I stated, even if it only costs you 30 cents per mile in expenses, which is fairly low, if they're 10 miles away, it's going to cost you $3 just to get to them. And we all know the average trip from Uber or Lyft pays less than $10. So if you're driving $3 out of your earnings just to pick the person up, and they're only giving you a $5 or $6, $10 trip, $3 is already lost on that shit. Do not drive empty for any decent range. Next, drive when it is profitable and safe, which is why I stated driving part-time. There's a large portion of hours you're going to spend on the road as a full-time driver, whether you're driving for Uber or Lyft. That is simply not profitable at all. Like I stated in every video and including this one, if you are driving and you are driving simply for base fare, that shit ain't profitable. If you're driving for the base fare of 70 cents a mile, some places is even lower than that, that's not profitable driving. So drive when it is profitable, meaning surges, earnings guarantees, streak bonuses, and things like that, and safe. Now, obviously, in regards to driving when it's safe, you need to know your market. I don't play with the wee hours of the morning, being out in the wee hours of the morning. Now, I understand sometimes being out in the wee hours of the morning means it's profitable, but that shit ain't safe. Particularly anything past midnight, that is some of the most dangerous hours to be out. My veteran drivers, what do you guys? You guys prefer driving after hours? Many of you do. Feel free to drop in the comments when you think it's the most profitable in your market. But I don't believe in driving when it's not safe. And that includes avoiding certain neighborhoods. When you get an address that pops up, if you know your market, you know what side of town you're going on. Even if you don't know where they're going, you know where you're going to pick them up. Avoid neighborhoods where there may be drama getting to that neighborhood. Also, things like business districts. You know, if let's say you got a industrial area where all of the businesses close after 5, and you're getting a pickup in that area at 9 o'clock at night. Meaning you're going to be in an area where several blocks are going to be unoccupied, dark, and there's nobody around. Don't do that shit. That is a dangerous type of trip. Sure, it may be a customer that has closed up a shop and is leaving work late or something like that. That certainly could be happening. But if you're going into an industrial area and all of the businesses are closed, it's dark, and there's somebody standing on the corner somewhere by themselves, that's some sketchy ass shit. So be cautious about that. Next, be friendly. Assholes attract assholes. And I mean that with the utmost sincerity. Somebody get in your car and say hello or something like that. Speak back. When I say assholes attract assholes, keep in mind, Uber and Lyft care about the passengers. They don't give a damn about your ass. So if a passenger makes up some bullshit, you can be taken off the app. You can be taken off the platform for mere allegations. Once again, my veteran drivers, how many of you have had somebody make up some bullshit and you were taken from the app? Maybe it took you a day or two to get back. Maybe some of your asses still have not gotten back at all. So being an asshole to somebody is what can lead them to make up bullshit and report you on Uber or Lyft. And like I just stated, any report coming from the customer is going to be taken as fact. They're not even going to ask you if the shit is true or not. If the person makes up a good story, they're going to take you off first and ask questions later. So at the very least, be friendly. You don't have to kiss anybody's ass, but assholes do attract assholes. Shout out to President Trump. Learn, next one, learn to shut up or be on the phone. This is beneficial. When I say learn to shut your ass up, be quiet, or learn to be on the phone, occasionally you get overly talkative passengers. Maybe you don't feel like talking. Maybe they're speaking on some bullshit that you really don't want to hear. Pick up your phone, such as pretend like you're in a conversation. Turn up the radio. Just act occupied. If you got somebody in the vehicle talking about some shit you really do not want to discuss. Generally, the best solution, in my opinion, what I often use is I'll pick up the phone and pretend like it's an important phone call. And you wait, hold on a second, hold on. Keep talking and get their ass to their destination as quick as you can and get them out the damn car. Number 8, don't talk about, now this came from the other guy I mentioned on the Rideshare Guy's channel, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but his point was, do not, you hear this from your mom, you've probably heard it from your teacher, you certainly hear it at any regular corporate job. Don't talk about religion, politics, sex, etc. I disagree with that. You know why I disagree? Because in this environment, if you're being friendly with somebody, it might lead to a tip or a networking situation. Now, I'm not suggesting you bring that shit up, but if somebody in your vehicle wants to criticize Trump or criticize Biden or talk about their baby mama, follow that conversation. You can be very accommodating in that conversation, and at the end of the ride, which this has happened to me, you a cool ass driver, and they hand you a $5 bill or something of that nature. If a person wants to talk, let that shit happen. You don't have to shut people up like that. I'm going to agree that you should not initiate the conversation, but if they throw that out there and you sympathize with their plight, sometimes it can result in a tip. I happen to like debating, and I happen to like, controversial dialogue. So if the passenger brings it up, I'm gonna ride with it. But that's my personal stance. If you don't want to talk about those subjects, I don't fault you for it. So I'm not going to necessarily say it is a do. I just disagree that it also is a don't. Number 9, do not hesitate to correct somebody that thinks you're getting paid. Meaning, there are a lot of passengers that were getting your shit. Well, the fare is in the tip is in the fare, or them Uber drivers are making a killing. Only jobs in this country that make a hell of a lot of money are doctors, lawyers, and Uber drivers. Fuck that. Correct that person. Do not let somebody say something like that and get away with it. In fact, I often encourage, if you're having a friendly conversation with a passenger, doesn't hurt to ask them, how much did the trip cost you, if you don't mind? And show them how much you actually make. A lot of passengers do not realize how little we make as drivers. This type of information can often lead to tips and things of that nature. So do not ever let someone walk away thinking you got paid on that shit. We're making, 30, 40% of a trip at the most. The passengers don't know that. And it would not hurt if you were the one to advise them of that. Number 10, think outside the damn galaxy. Being on Earth doesn't mean you can't dream of being at the moon. Meaning, this is not meant to be a long-term gig. There is very little upward mobility in regards to ride sharing. And I say that about thinking about the moon and things like that. When you're engaging in ride sharing, you should be trying your best to come up with a better way of earning income. People often will say, well, what do you want to do 5 years from now? It should never be, I want to continue driving for Uber. When I started in 2014 doing this shit, I was in that box. I can do this forever. But they were paying $2.20 per mile. We were making really good money in rideshare. At $2.20 a mile, you can ride it until the wheels fall off. That's enough money to get new cars and all of that shit. But now where the rates are, 80 cents a mile or less in the vast majority of markets for Uber and Lyft, no, you need to have a secondary plan not to continue doing this shit. Which is why you hear me in every video saying, I don't do it full time. I do not do it every day. I do not do it every week. I do it only when it is profitable. Number 11 kind of plays into what I just suggested. Stream play or listen to podcast hosts and things like that that give you good advice. Shit, yours truly, I think my advice is damn good. Maybe you disagree. Let me know in the comments. By the way, folks, feel free to subscribe to the channel. This is the kind of shit we talk about on a daily basis. This is what you like to hear. Show your boy some love. Subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell. Better yourself. Meaning, when I say listen to podcasts, decent advice coming from other folks, sometimes it could be other ways of earning income, other gig economy ideas. You should always find folks that are telling you ways to better yourself and listen to that. You don't have to drive around all day listening to the damn radio. Do things, listen to things that give you ideas, spark imagination, that can help you make money above and beyond ride sharing. You can thank your boy later. Number 12, never, and I mean never, ever, ever let Uber or Lyft dictate any damn thing you do. Never let them dictate your actions, because at the end of the day, everything that Uber and Lyft tells you to do is beneficial to Uber and Lyft. They don't give a damn about you. If you are willing to drive a trip, and at the end of the trip, you have earned negative $2, Uber and Lyft will tell you to do that trip all day long, because they get a cut out of every trip. And there is no such thing as an unprofitable trip for Uber or Lyft. So never let them dictate your actions. If you feel like a trip is not worth it, unprofitable, you feel unsafe, you feel it's too damn far away, etc., do not do it. Do not let them threaten or bully you into doing some shit that's going to lead you to bankruptcy or the damn grave. So think about that. You are an independent contractor. Damn it, be independent. Next, use the destination filters. Reject, decline at will. Use the destination filter so you're not sent to these long different locations, and you are more likely to control at least the area that you're going to be taking trips in. But feel free to reject and decline at will, which goes to my last statement. Number 14. Carry the essentials. This is what the other guy said, but his essentials were shit like, car chargers and jumper cables. And the essentials, in my opinion, straps, weapons, mace, knives, firearms. The essentials are weapons. Be prepared to defend yourself if some shit kicks off. And make no mistake about it, I do videos all the time, as well as other content creators, showing shit kicks off all the damn time. So do not drive in your area thinking that nothing can happen and it's Mayberry and it's 1950 and everybody's sweet and innocent. There are a lot of nefarious characters getting in vehicles posing as Uber and Lyft passengers. Folks who mean you harm from day one. In fact, a lot of them are now using our vehicles as a means to commit secondary crimes. Hell, you got folks, I believe there was one guy that threw his ass in the trunk and kidnapped him and was going to start doing drive-bys when his ass was in the trunk. So he getting play-by-play, play-by-play sound of drive-bys being committed. I talked about in Baltimore, from November 22nd to Christmas, they had 39 carjackings of rideshare drivers. Carry some shit. Do not let your passengers know. This is a side note on the same tip. Do not let your passengers know you're carrying some shit. You got a lot of Karens, snowflakes, whatever term you want to use, what side of the aisle you're on. One side calls them snowflakes, the other side calls them Karens. Do not let the passengers know you're prepared to defend yourself. Element of surprise is obviously beneficial, but you got a lot of scary folks that will report your ass, Karens and snowflakes. So carry you something on every single damn trip. In relation to that, number 15, cameras. In fact, you want to film your cabin. Obviously, you want to film what's going on in the front of your car for accident purposes and things like that. If you can have a camera aimed at the rear of your car to show if you're being rear-ended and stuff like that. Rear camera, not as important in my opinion. To me, two cameras are the most important. One aimed out the front window so you see what's going on, so if you're in an accident or something like that. And absolutely a camera aimed in your cabin. You need to film the shit that's going on in your car, because a lot of the threats that happen to Uber and Lyft drivers happens from the people they pick up. Not folks that you may hit at a red light or somebody, running through the light and hitting you. It's the folks you actually open up the door and let in your damn car. you need to have them filmed. If there is any sort of way at all, have a hidden camera. If there is any sort of way at all where you can have that camera off to the side or something like that, where the passenger does not know it's in there, that actually is even better. There are videos of rideshare drivers being carjacked, and the carjacker actually reached up to the mirror and took the camera. So understand, in fact, there was a woman that was killed by an Uber driver, I believe. She was murdered by a passenger, and he actually took the camera out of the vehicle. He discarded it, and I suppose the authorities were the ones that actually found the camera, which had the murder on the damn camera, but he took it out of the vehicle. So if you can have a camera where the passenger does not see it, that comes in handy as well. Obviously, the rear view mirror is the most prominent place to get the best view. But of course, the passengers know that that is there. In my opinion, if you could get a dummy camera there or something like that and have the camera somewhere else, it would probably be better. But I'll leave that up to you. But make sure you're filming the shit that's going on inside of your car. Next, never go above and beyond. Now, I know my last guy, the guy I mentioned who gave his 28 tips, very positive, Mr. Rogers-like and shit. He would not agree with this, but I'm going to tell you right off the bat, never go above and beyond for a passenger in hopes of getting some damn reward or tip. Anybody who gets in your car, I want you to assume from the get-go that you're not going to get a tip. The vast majority of Uber and Lyft passengers do not leave shit behind. Expect that. So when folks ask you, do you mind helping me carry this laundry up to the 5th floor? Hell no. Do not do that. Now, if they tell you, I'll give you $20, then get your ass out and carry it up there. But if you have to do it in hopes that they're going to show you some love afterwards, do not do that. If you want to do it out of the kindness of your heart, maybe it's an old lady and her back is all thrown out and shit, and you want to show some love, do that. But as I stated clearly, do not go above and beyond hoping to receive some sort of reward or tip. The passengers in ride sharing are just not reliable enough to do that. So just want to let you know, because there are no shortage of folks on social media all over the damn place complaining that they did this, and this for someone, and the person didn't give them a tip. Yours truly, I am one of those people as well. I've went above and beyond for passengers who didn't show me any love at all, which is why I'm telling you, don't do the shit. Next, network your ass off. And I'm serious, network your ass off. Every single deal you can make outside of Uber and Lyft is most likely a better deal than you would have with Uber and Lyft. Meaning, let's say you pick somebody up at the airport, or better yet, you're taking somebody to the airport. Oh, man, I hope, making a nice conversation. Man, I hope you're going somewhere nicer or warmer than where we are. Something to encourage him to say where he's going, maybe. Okay, well, shit. You coming back on Friday, you got a ride already lined up. That's your time to make some type of a deal or network with that person to come pick them up at the airport. It is probably going to be worth your while to free up that time, come and pick that person up and take them home than any other thing you're doing in ride sharing, because once you remove Uber and Lyft from the equation, the amount of money you make from that one trip is going to be more probably than 5 or 6 trips combined, because you're getting that 70-80% back that they take from your ass to begin with. So, as I stated, every single deal you can make outside of Uber or Lyft is a much better deal. Network your ass off. And that doesn't have to just mean trips. Maybe the guy is has a small business or something like that. Y'all hiring or something of that nature. Always listen to what your passengers are talking about. Like I said, being on Earth doesn't mean you can't dream of being on the moon. So if you hear passengers talking about they're starting up a company or they got something else going on, that might be an avenue for you to leave Uber and Lyft in regards to and actually, put yourself in a better position. So always be willing to network. And that would continue on to my 18th point. I would suggest getting some type of business cards. It looks professional. If the car is clean and smelling good, like I said, your shit don't smell like ass. You hand somebody a business card, and they're flying in on Friday or something like that, they would readily be willing to make a business deal with you. And of course, because Uber and Lyft is taking so much of the fare, you can make hellified deals that the passenger cannot refuse, such as, let's say a passenger, when they get picked up from the airport, they're expecting to pay $40. You and I know out of that $40, you're only going to see probably some teens, maybe 17, 18 bucks of it. You can give that passenger a big ass discount and see a big ass increase on your own, because all of the money that's being taken by Uber and Lyft, you guys can divvy the shit up out of that. So instead of that passenger paying 40, give me 30. So now you're making $30 instead of 17, 18 bucks, and he's paying 30 instead of 40. That's what I'm talking about in regards to networking. If you got business cards, before you know it, that same passenger is hitting you up at other times. I need to go and do a business meeting. Are you free? Shit like that. I've actually had passengers ask me, are you willing to sit out here and wait for me while I'm doing this or this or this? You can set some hellified wait time rates. All of that 9-10 cents a minute shit that Uber charges, oh, hell no. $1 a minute, whatever you want to do. I had a guy tell me, I'll be back in 20 minutes, and he gave me a 20. That's $1 per minute wait time. You can do all of that when you got your networking thinking cap on. So those are my 19. Let me know where the hell I got it wrong. I'm not as positive as the other guy. I get it. I don't have 28,000 rides, but in my opinion, you don't need to drive 28,000 trips to realize there's a hell of a lot of bullshit, dishonesty, and deceit going on from the ride-sharing companies, and danger in dealing with the passengers. So for my veteran drivers, do you make any attempt to network with your passengers? Do you make any attempt to do side deals? I'm curious, some of you guys, have you had any really good side deals? Like, for instance, I had a guy said he got a Lyft trip out of Vegas to go to Los Angeles, and they were going to give him, through the app, like $150 or something like that. Vegas to LA is like a 4-hour trip. $150 certainly falls in the hell no range. He ended up doing, as I say, networking, creating a side deal, and they gave him $400. Now, driving from LA to Vegas for $400 is a whole different ball game than doing it for $150. So my veteran drivers, do you network? Obviously, I'm going to assume anybody smart enough to watch this program is certainly carrying a weapon. What about cameras? Do you film what's going on in your cabin? For some of my newer drivers, I've had folks ask, what is a good brand of camera to have? So state that in the comments. Anyhow, as always, this video is went a little bit longer than I want, but what do I say in every program? Subscribe to the damn channel. It's your boy Tim. See you in the next video.